welcome to another edition of our show covering the 2024 Test series between the West Indies and England, the second test there at Trent Bridge in Nottingham, England. And we are here. It's quite cloudy and looking very rainy here in Jamaica, here in Clarendon, just a hour and a half away from the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. Also, as we witness in England today, in Nottingham, the players were playing under extreme conditions, overhead and looking stormy and rainy. And that might have contributed to the brain fade that Craig Brathwaite would have distributed today. And it just reassure our call here for a change of captaincy as it regards to our test team. The West Indies, after resuming today, lost Older very early. Older look out of sort and look like he's not ready to return back to this test team. He's a major concern. And the West Indies were eventually all out for 457. They led at the lunch break at 41. England returned in the second session of the day and batted extremely well before a change of ball that the England commentators were furious about. But a change of ball was brought in, and Azari Joseph, the West Indies vice captain, struck and took two quick wickets that got back the West Indies in the game. Another notable thing was that Shamar Joseph would have come up, chums up with the bat today. He and Joshua De Silva, the West Indies wicketkeeper, the under fire West Indies wicketkeeper who for the last four tests have not scored an half century, responded with 82 not out today. Was a marvelous batting performance from him. And because of that, the West Indies got a 41-run lead. I have along with me here the Hall of Famer, John Melbourne, coming back to offer his thoughts on the day's play today. I also have recently nominated and slated to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame, Mr. Dennis Eat from Southern California, who has taken time out to join us back here. And I have the honorary secretary with us, Mr. Dale Brown. He's also a consultant with our academy here at West Indies Cricket Development Academy. John Melbourne, your thoughts on the day's play today, the deficiency of Older and the lackluster performance from even Kevin Sinclair, that yesterday we expected more with the bat from him when we were building up the last five batters for this important day in the test match today at Trent Bridge.
Well, a very good afternoon to our listeners here on the West Indies Cricket Development Academy, and good afternoon to my fellow panelists. This morning's play, when we lost Jaden Seals, I said to myself, oh boy, our discussion from yesterday about batting to lunch or till after lunch seemed to have gone out through the window. However, West Indies wobbled to 457 and lead of 41 thanks to Joshua De Silva, as mentioned earlier, who got 82 not out, and Shamar Joseph, who flashed his bat for 33 runs. And you know, this is really the Joshua Da Silva I would like to see more of. The promise he brought early in his career, you know, he needs now to really step up and be able to be more consistent as a middle lower order batsman. A cloudy day in Trent Bridge, but both Da Silva and Shamar Joseph, I think, brought some sunshine in the park this morning. You know, when England came to bat a second time, I said to myself, Shamar Joseph was in such a jovial, positive mood. I wonder if the captain would open the bowling with him instead of the usual uh, um, Alzari Joseph and Jaden Seals, but he didn't. And it's interesting again, as mentioned yesterday, was it Dennis who mentioned it, that he bowled 4 overs, he bowled his 4 pacers before bringing on one of his spinners. So, one has to question Brathwaite's thinking or captaincy and wonder if some of what he's doing is coming from the dressing room, which I can't say, but I think he has to show a little more what you call innovation in his captaincy and maybe take chances. um, and I noticed he brought himself on towards the end of the day's play, but I probably would have liked to have seen maybe a first change spinner, whether it be Sinclair or Kavam Hodge, one of them, but that didn't happen.
Hodge was off the
Sinclair
field
wasn't
because
as
of a finger injury.
right. Okay, and Sinclair wasn't as, I guess, effective as he was yesterday, but that's a day's play. Tomorrow we shall see what happens. But I think if England scores anywhere over 300 runs, it's going to be an uphill task for West Indies to win this second test at Trent Bridge. Back to you, Junior.
Absolutely. Mr. Eat, um, let's take a closer look on the captaincy of Craig Brathwaite, how he ascends to the captaincy of the team, the results that he had. Um, him being anointed the captain of the team came under some cloud and was really an emotional response because the West Indies team was to tour Bangladesh. Jason Holder, who was the captain then, decided not to go, and the appointed vice captain, Ruston Chase, at the time decided not to go. Then Craig Brathwaite took on the role and he went as the captain. The West Indies toppled Bangladesh there in Bangladesh for the very first time. And the emotion was that if a team could go to Bangladesh and do so well, then they should be kept together. And that's how Craig Brathwaite was anointed as the captain because he was struggling and was on the brink of being dropped because that's the reason why the vice captaincy was taken from him because a path was being cleared for him to be dropped from the team. But the Bangladesh series really brought him back into the mix of things. So my point is him getting the captaincy was not because he was the best man in the Caribbean to do the job, but he was one that was ready to go to war in the midst of a threatening virus upon humanity. And we uh, now it is being shown that there's a lot of holes in his captaincy and a lot to be desired, despite some very good results afterwards with the Bangladesh series and a couple of series afterwards. But can the West Indies continue with Craig Brathwaite any longer as the captain of this team?
Mr. Codlin, let's say hello to all the listeners and viewers wherever they are and thank them for joining this program. We look forward to having them stay with us today and to come back the next time. Good afternoon to my fellow panelists. Now, when it comes to Craig Braithwaite, I remember vividly the Bangladesh series and how well that went. However, putting that aside, in today's performance, Craig Braithwaite has shown that he lacks what I would consider to be leadership material. He does not display any experience, and I have to question his knowledge of the game. Today's performance, where West Indies had a narrow lead of 41 runs, we were out just before lunch, and he came in. Braithwaite opened up the field as an attacking field, as if we meaning the West Indies, were about to roll over England and win the match. I believe that what we should have been looking at was to save runs and therefore put the onus, the initiative on England to go out there and dig deep to get runs on the board because England desperately wants to win. So you start off with a defensive field and invite England to go for it, therefore making errors and mistakes and giving up their wicket. He did no such thing. During the course of the match, you could see that there were gaps in the field where they were getting boundaries after boundaries after boundaries. And at no time did he make the effort to plug the gaps, either change the bowler, speak to the bowlers, or put a sweeper in there to stop them getting those boundaries. But he did not. Why could he not have seen that? I don't know. It must obviously be that his leadership, his knowledge and his experience is in question here. And the only way that West Indies now can salvage this match, I say salvage because England now has the bit between the teeth. And I don't see them giving up, not with the offensive that they've been displaying at this time with only 3 wickets out. England will come out tomorrow, and I'm sure they'll no doubt flash the willow until about lunchtime tomorrow, hoping to score another 300 runs, setting the West Indies somewhere in the region of 500 to win in a day and a half. I don't know if West Indies could do that because the quality of the bowling that England has is far, far superior and knowledgeable about what needs to be done. So I'm hoping that perhaps there can be a breakthrough in the morning, but I'm not putting my money on that. So West Indies need to buck up. Braithwaite need to have a deep sleep tonight and wake up refreshed, have someone whispering in his ears that things need to change. And that's my thought on that for now, Mr. Codlin.
Mr. Brown, could you jump in with a few thoughts while I come back?
Oh, okay. A few thoughts on what transpired today. First of all, good morning to everyone. And once again, I'm very honored to be here with you all. This morning, first, everybody wanted a 41, expected anywhere from 30 to 50 runs first inning lead based on the score last night. The dynamics of the game changes, and it's not there to please us how we got those 41 runs. The bottom line is that we got them at the end of it all. And in getting them, we have to appreciate certain events that took place. And I would like to highlight some of those events. Number one, Joshua De Silva with his score of 82, not out, is in the history of West Indies tour in England. It is the 5th highest score by a wicketkeeper, West Indian wicketkeeper playing in England. So we look at all the famous wicketkeepers that have gone there before him. He is the 5th highest scorer. And we have to appreciate that and appreciate whatever. How he got there, the bottom line is he showed perseverance, resilience, and he was resolute in his effort in getting those 82 runs. Now, just for the record, is only 4 players who played a match as a wicketkeeper that has ever scored a century, a test century in England, and that is as a designated wicketkeeper. So again, we must understand what those 82 runs mean in the context of history and what this young man accomplished this morning or today. Shamar Joseph did not like the way he got out the sequence of events, but again, he's a number 11 batsman and he did well. And I'll just highlight something about him, is that his 33 is the second most that runs that was scored, that is scored by a West Indian in England batting at number 11. And we have to appreciate that very, very much. Anybody batting at number 7, playing in England. And that is very significant. And in the overall history of West Indies against England, wherever it is that they play the game, is the 8th highest overall. So for me, gentlemen, what I'm trying to point out is the fact when you look at the historical facts borne out by the figures, what they did this morning is something to be greatly, greatly appreciated. And I think that we should look at it from that angle, because what they accomplished is very few persons that have topped them, whether as an individual wicketkeeper in regards to Da Silva, or to batting at the number 7 position, or for the 10th wicket partnership, or Shamar Joseph scoring 33 runs. You know, that to me is something that we must appreciate. And I believe, again, sometimes perception it can be dangerous if you don't have the facts to bear them out. This is the second half century in the last 4 test matches, actually the last 3 test matches, that Mr. Da Silva has scored. If we recall, going back to Australia, that was our last test series, he and Kevin Hodge shared in a partnership, to help 149 partnership in the first inning of that test match that we won in Australia when we scored that famous 8-run victory. He and Hodge came in with like 5 wickets down for 60 or 80 runs, and they went on to add 149 to guide the West Indies to first innings total of 311 runs, I believe. So Da Silva, overall, if you look at his numbers, you may not be very impressed. But as a wicketkeeper, I'm batting at number 7. He has a penchant of coming up trumps when you need him the most. And if you look at wicket keepers overall, it's very few of them going to average a very high score, because to wicket keep and then to turn around and come and bat, it takes a whole lot of concentration, more than anybody else on the team. He's in front of the stumps and he's behind the stumps. You know, and I think we really need to appreciate him. Not saying nobody did or does, but we have to make sure we point out what he has achieved. You know, and I would just like to focus on that. About the game itself here, I would have loved to see the captain just not follow what is expected, so to speak. Joseph was on a high and he's a fast bowler. Use him to open the bowling, even if it's just for a short spell of 3 overs. Use him at that point. No one in the world is ever going to question you or doubt you if you do that. So actually, it's not a chance you're taking. It's a very safe move. Where you get criticized is if you didn't do it, and he did not show the forthrightedness and the capacity to think outside of the box and use Joseph in that way. I remember Sobers would take the new ball himself ahead of all and Griffith, and he would pick up a wicket and then take himself off and give them the rest of the bowling. You have to, when your tail is up, you have to, and the big adrenaline is flowing, take advantage of it, you know. And I one small thing, and I'll end with this and give someone else a chance, is that the change of ball in Test cricket now that it has been introduced and it is
Mm.
used a lot, I do not like the fact that it is being used as a tactical ploy to use another ball so that you can gain some kind of advantage. And the science bears that out. It shows the deviation of movement when that change ball comes into play. When England does it, I don't hear anybody say a word about it. West Indies did it, and all of a sudden the commentators had a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that Joseph got the 2 wickets because of that ball change. And I'm not talking out of the two sides of my mouth. I'm just saying if England is allowed to use it as a tactical ploy, then the West Indies can use it as a tactical ploy also. And I don't like the fact that the English commentators found it necessary to make a comment about it. Just go along with it. You're up, you're considered a great team. Just take it and move along with it. I'll give someone else
Absolutely.
a chance.
Absolutely. You know, for these big nations over a period of time, what goes for them can't go for the others. And we have seen it happens with Australia, India, and England. Um, but as I watch the first session, the middle session, and the last session, something came to my thought that despite of the struggles that West Indies would have over the years, we have seen big teams stop playing test cricket, in particular with many of other nations, but West Indies still plays test cricket across the world. The amount is cut, but we are still respected as a test nation. And I think that despite of our struggles, this is testament to our team and our ability, continued ability in test cricket. And we will have the president of Cricket West Indies with us um, for the series against South Africa when he's back in the Caribbean. I spoke with him yesterday. He's in Sri Lanka. As you know, the ICC is holding a very serious meeting in Sri Lanka right now because they have lost quite some millions with the leg that happens in the United States. And we just are asking if it was really sensible to have, shift things to the US because it was a West Indies World Cup. But because the Indians have a huge diaspora in the United States, we have seen games gone there. But seen from what I am hearing from somebody and a person that is very intimate with things in the ICC, there are a lot of questions about that decision at the moment. We have the president of the cricket show, USA, joining us, Mr. Leon Francis. And I'll just take this opportunity to bring him in um, as it regards to Jason Holder. We spoke yesterday and thought that Jason Holder's wicket would have been the wicket that decides if the West Indies get a lead in this test match or not. And Mr. Brown, that is on your camera, viewers, um, his start was a 50-run lead at best, and at minimum a 10-run deficit, which we had a 41-run lead. But just to look at the wicket and the way Jason Holder, a senior player, former captain of the West Indies, got out, his body language, I'm not sure if you have seen it, Mr. Francis, but his body language was awful. This is not a very good message from a player that you expect a lot um, from. But just your thoughts on Jason Holder lackluster body language and his batting performance from the Lord's Test into this test match at Trent Bridge um, in the second test in this ongoing series.
Leon might be muted.
Still muted, yes. We can see he's making the effort.
Leon is muted.
Yes.
So let's move on.
No, hold on. Leon, Mr. Leon, you're muted.
You're muted, Leon. Yeah. He's speaking, but of course, muted behind his thought, the words, it's not coming out.
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to speak because I did not see the match. I was not feeling well last night, so I really didn't see. So I can't comment a lot. I'll just listen this morning if needs be. Thank you all.
Thank you, Leon.
You could pick it up, Mr. Eat.
Well, Brother Dale mentioned the statistics regarding De Silva, and I agree in that De Silva's performance in the four-day championship, West Indies Championship, he scored only 322 runs for an average of 36. And there are many times during the four-day championship where I expected more of him, but did not come through. This time around, in fact, prior to this test match, I was willing to sacrifice De Silva for another player, another wicketkeeper, because I was disappointed so much with his lack of production. However, he came to the crease yesterday, battled it out, got his head straight, and produced a fine innings to save the West Indies from total humiliation. Shamar Joseph deserves a great deal of credit, and I anticipate that in future test matches, as long as he's playing, I would expect to see Shamar batting at least 2 or 3 places higher than he's been batting today. That's not to say we couldn't do with a number 11 of his capability, but just the same, with more responsibility and batting higher, he can be coached into behaving more judiciously and produce more runs. But certainly he's given us the what it takes to suggest that he deserves to be higher. Now, coming onto that ball change, I had the feeling, and perhaps somebody can correct me, that there was a ball change after 25 overs. immediately after the rain shower. Am I correct in this, or did I?
Yeah, you are.
So, thank you. My question is, why do you change a ball? How is it a ball can require changing after 25 overs? That did not.
Well, the unwritten rule is that they have a small circle that the ball ought to fit through, and if it doesn't fit through, it's considered disfigured. And it's an unwritten rule, and it's something that the MCC should look into. But
Yes.
To what Mr. Brown was saying, that England had no problem in doing it, but it's only when it worked against them, then their commentators come talking. In ODI, the ball change every 34 over, and that takes out the reverse swing. So the cricket is being handled in a way that it is not like how we used to it. And for test cricket though, 90 overs, you have to bowl 80 over before you get a new ball. But when the ball is bouncing the pitch, hit out the ground, and like you saw Shamar Joseph hit one on the top of the roof, and it took out the tiles, that do some damage to the ball. So there's nothing wrong in changing the ball. It shouldn't be an issue because both teams do it. It is when you intentionally now scratch off the ball like the cheating Australians always does.
Yes.
Well, I noticed today when the ball was changed, they didn't put it through that new ball through that little device. He just took the ball and then look at it, and then the umpire, as he said, well, this one.
No, they had to do that. They had to
but I didn't see it. I'm not saying I didn't see it. I see him taking the ball out of the case.
Yeah.
And looking at different balls, and he had two in his hand, and then as if he said, well, this one. But I didn't see him pass it through that device.
No, the ball that was going to go through that device would have been the one in the playing condition, the one that they are using. That's the only one that goes through, and if it doesn't fit through, then it has to be changed. The ball that you saw.
I am saying when they TC selected a new ball,
yeah,
in the ball change,
no,
I did not see.
No, you don't put the new ball through the ring.
No, I believe what.
How you know it's not disfigured?
What John is saying.
The new ball. So let's say it is the 25th over of the innings. They have a ball that went through 25 overs already. And before that ball go into the box, it would have had to go through that ring. So for them now to take out a newer ball than what was being used and put it through the ring, that's why they don't. It is the norm to put the ball, the one that is in the playing condition, through the ring. If it doesn't go smoothly through the West Indies tried for 5 overs to get that ball changed, and they put it through it. It went through all right. It's when it reached the 5th over and they put it through and it doesn't go through again. That's when the change happens, and that's when the English start to make nice about it.
2 points that I want to make on that discussion there. During my playing days, what tend to happen is at the end of a match, a ball in good condition, you would write on the leather with a pen how many overs that ball had been used for before you put it back in that for later use. And that is the time when you would put it through the ring to confirm that it is of the correct size. So that now when they come out to change later on, they already know that those in that box are already been tested for the size, which doesn't mean it could still go out of shape later on. But that's how it's usually done during my playing days, Mr. Melba. So there's no need for them to take it out of the box and put it through the ring, because it would have already have gone through the ring. But yes, I take the point that Brother Dale was making regarding the noise being made about the ball, and I hand it back to you.
Yeah.
I think the English are very. Look on when our West Indian bowlers used to, bowl bouncers. They start to limit them down to 2. You remember that?
Yes.
So now we're asking for ball change. These guys want to cancel out changing the ball.
And they also brought in the front foot rule.
Right. So I don't know. Even when we are down and out, people still are against what West Indian does. But to get back into the thick of it, how disappointed were you, Mr. Melbourne, with the dismissal of Jason Holder and that of Kevin Sinclair, 2 that we expected to give us some runs, and maybe would have had an 100-run lead at the end of the day?
Yes, you're disappointed. But even from yesterday, I didn't like how Jason was batting, playing and missing at the ball, and so I wasn't kind of surprised that he got out early. But that's the nature of cricket. It's cricket, and things happen that you didn't expect or you didn't want to happen when it took place. But as I initially said, I would not have had Jason Holder in my squad going to England, because I think he has passed his best.
He doesn't look ready for this at all.
And you look at his batting. He doesn't bat as if he is an experienced Test cricketer. Who has scored over 200 runs already in a Test match
against the same opposition.
And so he, I think his leadership as a batsman, and maybe that's why, when people were clamoring for him to come higher in the order, the powers that be didn't do it, because maybe they saw what we are seeing now, that, he's not really safe to be batting higher up in the order. Maybe even now Shamar Joseph should bat ahead of him.
Take your point on that. Mr. Brown, how this West Indies team, we knew that Mooti got cold, terrible flu overnight and was declared unwell. It was one of the very first time that the West Indies would have named an 11 before the start of a Test match, but unfortunately Mooti had to pull out. But how on this pitch now that tomorrow we sure it's going to take spin, how much of a miss is Mooti now in this West Indies 11? Looking back at what he did at Lords when he got rid of Harry Book and the England captain Ben Stokes.
Yes, sir. I think it will be a big miss. And Matthew, I'm only saying across everything, he is our most consistent bowler right now. Not taking anything away from any of the others, but he's economical, and at least he could tie down one end while you rotate the fast bowlers if Brathwaite see fit to employ that tactic. So I think he will be greatly missed, and he's greatly missed already. And even his lusty lower order hitting. Lest we forget, another left-hander, just like Shamar Joseph, he came in very, very late last test match and scored some runs in the tail. What I'm worried about with the West Indies, though, is this penchant about the fast bowlers. And sometimes if your spinners are the better bowlers, go ahead and pick them. And this is where Holder comes into a problem. Is either you play him as a specialist bowler, but you can't play him expecting him to make runs in the top order, the top six, and make runs, because he has been consistently batting at number 6. He comes in there quite regularly. He will come in at number 7. But, when a guy like Moti, to answer your question directly, he is a person that you are going to miss because his confidence is sky high. And I like the way that he applies himself to the match situation and the skill set that he brings as a bowler. And he's very economical, very consistent in line and length. And you're going to miss a person like him. Yes, Sinclair may bowl well in one inning, but you can't really expect him to bowl well in 2 innings because he's not really a specialist bowler in the manner in which you'd say Moti is a specialist bowler.
Absolutely. Mr. Hall of Famer Melbourne, England 416 in the first innings after 88.3 overs. West Indies 111.5 overs, 457. England second innings 248 for the last of 3, 51 overs, second innings. Stumps, day 3, they lead by 207 runs. Your expectation tomorrow from an England point of view?
I think England is going to, they have in their mind batting till maybe mid-afternoon between tea and close of play. Maybe give West Indies the last hour of play tomorrow. And then they have the entire 5th day to try and win the match. And that is what I think is going to happen with England. Guys, one of the things that we have talked about, we talk a lot about Craig Brathwaite, but I also have to talk about England captain Stokes. I think Stokes, as Marlon Samuel showed us a few years ago, bring him under pressure and he'll crack. And I did hear one of the commentators mention when West Indies had passed the England score that Stokes allowed the game to get away from him. So, and it just brought back that World Cup final where Marlon Samuels got into his head. And, maybe tomorrow somebody can get into in Stokes' head again. They could put England under some pressure. But I think they will bat until between that last session and give West Indies maybe the last hour, maybe half hour to bat on the 4th day.
West Indies doesn't encourage those controversial people anymore in our cricket. And that was one of the main reasons why they got rid of Marlon Samuels, to their detriment. Nonetheless, somebody in the comment here, Ben Manning, thank you for joining us, Ben, from way across the ocean. He said Greaves should perhaps have been in the test squad instead of Holder. Do you agree with that, Mr. Melbourne, since you're on camera?
I would. Greaves?
Justin Greaves. He went to Australia in January.
Yeah. As I say, I would not have selected Holder. I would have preferred Kyle Mayers in the team rather than Holder.
So you would bring Kyle Mayers?
I would bring Kyle Mayers, yeah. And certainly Kyle Mayers is also not a number 3 batsman. but I'd have him coming down in the other, and he can also bowl. A pretty good bowler. So it would have been, I'd have had Kyle Mills in the squad,
And the last
along with
time, the,
along with Shea Hope, of course.
yeah, the last time West Indies played England in Test cricket, Kyle Mears bowled them out there, if you remember that Grenada Test.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong in calling. But Mr. Heath, what do you think of Justin Greaves should have been continued, or the decision to go for the experience holder? But you know, bearing what is happening now, is that a justifiable decision by the former chief selector Desmond Haynes?
Um, Justin Greaves, I know he was in Australia last time, but his total run haul during the West Indies Championship this year, he scored 296 runs, whereas I think his highest score was 63. And I think that average may well have been somewhere in the region of 21 or thereabouts. I don't think that he performed well enough in the West Indies Championship to have been given that kind of promotion. What I would have done and would have preferred is to have brought in Ruston Chase, who not only can bat, but he can bowl. I'd rather have had Chase than Holder, because the wickets that Holder can get, I know Chase can also get those wickets too. And in addition, I think Chase is a more solid batter who can defend when it's necessary, hold the end, and if he needs to get aggressive, we've seen that he has the ability to do that. So with all due credit to Ben, I think that perhaps Greaves was not ready for this particular tour. He may be ready for the upcoming tours in August and November, but not for this one. Ruston Chase or Kyle Mayers would also have been a decent replacement for Holder, in my opinion. Holder was disappointed. I was disappointed in the way he performed, bat and ball so far this test. And he has to do something really miraculous for me to change my thinking of him before this test series ends.
Your expectation from a West Indies point of view as it regards to bowling tomorrow, Mr. Heath, as we're going to change the scenes a little, but before we do that, your expectation from a West Indies point of view with the ball tomorrow?
Well, we certainly should come out fighting tomorrow, but have a game plan. Make sure the plan involves restricting the batters. Make sure the game plan involves setting a field that is defensive to put England under pressure, ensure that England has to take the initiative to go and put runs on the board. Because as I see it, England must be thinking that, okay, they made 400 in a day, so they could possibly do that again. So this time round, England will be looking to set a target of about 500, which would not put the West Indies off going for it, but at the same time, give England enough chance to give Bashir more overs in the middle, and Joe Root. I was surprised that Joe Root didn't bowl more in the first innings. There are many instances where it was obvious that the quick bowlers were not getting through. And I think a change of pace with Joe Root could have made the big difference. So I'm looking for England to put West Indies under pressure tomorrow, coming out swinging. And I really don't think that Stoke did not allow. You see, somebody said Stoke may have misplayed his hand at one point, but I'm not sure. I think they have to give credit to the West Indian batters for taking the initiative that England had and making the most of it. So that's where it is from me on this one, Mr. Codlin.
Mr. Brown, Jason Holder, a former captain, a leader in the bowling group. Azari Joseph, the West Indies vice captain. We have seen him rally back from a lackluster bowling performance in the first innings, and he seems to now be revved up and ready. And with those 2 wickets that we see and the aggressiveness that he was bowling with towards the end of the day. But Shemar Joseph, one school of thought is that he's undercooked where bowling is concerned. And we have seen his shoulder problem, his hamstring, and so forth. But how important it is tomorrow for our 3 fast bowlers along with Holder to come and give it their all, even if it means missing the next test match, the third of the series and the final coming up. How important it is. What is your expectation from a bowling point of view from West Indies tomorrow in the morning session, knowing that this test match is effectively turning into a one-dayer now?
Okay, we are behind in a 3-test series, and we can't afford to lose this match, otherwise we lose the series. We should not be playing not to lose the match. We should be playing to win the game. And the only way we can win this game is to bowl England out. We have to take their 10 wickets. While doing so, we have to be very disciplined with the bowling while taking those wickets. We can't pay for them with a lot of runs. England will be looking to bat out at least the full lunch period, score probably 120 runs, 130 runs, and then bat for another half an hour after lunch and set us a target close to 400 runs to win the match. A number which is manageable for them, where they can attack without worrying about field setting and saving runs. So that is what I expect from the West Indies tomorrow. The 3 bowlers that you mentioned, Alzari Joseph is very inconsistent. And the number on him is that of all the fast bowlers in the world, he is the most expensive of them all. And so he can take wickets, but he's going to pay an expensive price for those wickets, because as well as he will bowl those good balls, he's going to bowl his fair amount of bad balls. And England, they know it. They're just going to wait. He bowled 2 good balls. I bet you dollars to donuts. The third ball is going to be a boundary ball. And that's what they'll wait for. We see when he pitches up the ball, he will take wickets, but he tries to bang the ball into the middle of the pitch too much, going down the leg side. They're using him as an enforcer, and I don't think he fits the mold. It doesn't fit his personality, and it doesn't fit his skill set either. And perhaps bowling across formats may affect him as a up-and-coming bowler. He's 27 now, but maybe that is part of the reason why he's not as consistent, because bowling in T20 and then coming back over to Test cricket is 2 different styles of bowling that you need. Jaden Seals bowled well in the first Test, but fell away very badly in this inning, especially in the first inning and so far this inning. I noticed one thing with him, Mr. Codlin, is that Harry Brook, appeared to have gotten under his skin, and he seemed very upset with Brook, and Brook took about 3 boundaries off of him immediately after. And here we go, we return again to your mind. Are you focused on what it is that you are here to do, which is to get a wicket? You're not here to focus on someone getting underneath your skin, somebody getting you upset. because the worst thing is a fast bowler running into ball with hot steam blowing through his ears. He's going to be fast and foolish, and the batsman is going to take advantage of him. And I think that that happened to him in particular today when he was bowling to Harry Brook. I don't know what Brook said to him, but it reminded me of Brook's partner, Joe Root, who, by the way, is from the same county as Brook, may have whispered in Brook's ears and said, wink at him, say something to him. It reminded me of Root with Shannon Gabriel when he got under Gabriel's skin by winking at Gabriel. You know, these guys need to keep their minds on the job at hand. That is if they have a plan to begin with. And finally, with Mr. Shamar Joseph, Australia notwithstanding, and we know he did it with an injured toe, and kudos to him, and he was a hero for it. However, this series I'm disappointed with his lack of fitness, because for a world-class athlete like him to be suffering from cramps is an indication primarily of dehydration and perhaps just not being fit. You know, even to the point of throwing in the ball, he seemed to have an issue with it towards the end of the day. And if he's not able to come in full tilt tomorrow, it's going to be severely handicap our bowling ability. And Holder, I don't think he has the stamina anymore to bowl long spells and be as accurate as he usually is, especially in the second inning of a match.
He seems very out of sort this test series. Usually, and right after he lost the captaincy, and we had that series here in the Caribbean, he was very, very loud on the field, and some was saying that it's as if Holder is still the captain because he was more vocal than Craig Brathwaite at the time. And just speaking about that series, we have for you here the first test between the West Indies and South Africa, and that starts from the 7th of August to 11, and that will be at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad and Tobago. The second and final test of the series will be at the National Stadium in Guyana from the 15th to the 19th of August of 2024. And the first T20 International will return to Trinidad at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, and that will be on the 23rd. The 25th will be the second T20 International, and that's at Brian Lara continually. And the third match will be at Brian Lara continually, and that will be on the 3rd of September. That's T20 internationals against South Africa after the T20 series. I don't know if we still have the president of the cricket show with us, Mr. Leon Francis, but he's our US correspondent. And a development here, West Indies will be taking on the United States in women's cricket at the under 19 level. And this will be at the UWI field there in Trinidad and Tobago. And that first game starts today. It is live on the Windies Cricket Channel. And the second will be on the 22nd of July. The other will be on Wednesday the 24th. The other will be on Thursday the 25th. And Saturday the 27th will close out that series with the United States. It's good that we and the US is engaging in cricket where women's cricket is concerned. It's very important for us to build the women game. Mr. Francis, just your thoughts, any expectation from the American girls against a young and fresh West Indian youth team at the age group level?
He's muted and probably not in a position to
Respond, right.
respond, yes.
But,
But I,
you could take it, Mr. E.
well, I do know that both the West Indies under 19 ladies are developing. I'm not going to say they're there yet, but they have one or two good players. The same can be said for the United States under 19, who've recently undertaken tours to the Middle East and back and have done well enough. And I know the West Indies women had a series of matches just prior to or just after the hurricane. And that was did not go very well, primarily because of the weather situation and the lack of preparedness. So, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what will happen. And this might be the beginning of the growth of matches at this level between these two age group of cricketers in the United States and the Caribbean. So I would not go out of my way to make any prediction as to who might come tops in this one, because this is so much at the developmental stage and I'm not sure that they're fully there yet. And so this will be interesting to watch how it develops, Mr. Codlin.
Absolutely, and we'll keep our eyes on that series and report any development to you, the viewers. But that's it from us here today as we wrap up, and the third day's play tomorrow is a very interesting day. Mr. Melbourne, what is your expectation at the end of the day tomorrow for the West Indies? Their opening batter coming on the fifth day, and if England even declares in the lunch session, coming out of the day, what do you expect from a West Indies point of view? How many wickets down so they could really, because West Indies in Bangladesh had chased down 300 plus, over 350 runs on a spinning wicket. Nobody gave them a chance. Joshua De Silva came up with 90, I think it was 94. A double century from Kyle Mears, and Kuma Bana got a big 100. So it was a total team effort. Are you expecting something of that sort on the fourth day and on the fifth day in this test match?
Well, first of all, England is no Bangladesh. And as I said earlier, I think they will bat until, if we don't bowl them out, if we don't get the 10 wickets, I think they'll be batting after tea, maybe for another half hour or so. And then they're going to turn Wood loose and West Indies openers. And probably, West Indies could very well lose 2 or 3 wickets by the end of the day, close up play. And that's how much confidence I have now in my top order, because what we shall see, it's going to take a lot for West Indies to score 300 runs against England in the second innings. And I'm not sure we have that kind of batting, or we can rely on Kevin Hodge and Alec Athanasis to come up big again for us. As Kevin Hodge said that, I think it's the first time he had faced a bowler bowling 90 plus balls consistently, and didn't want to lose his wicket for whoever coming behind him to face that kind of fire. Well, he's going to be facing that fire again tomorrow from Wood. And Wood bowled with a lot of bad luck, if you want to put it that way. Yesterday, the fourth inning, I think is going to be a little different for West Indies, but we shall see.
Absolutely. We shall see tomorrow. We will be on here tomorrow at 4 o'clock United States time. Tomorrow, as you would know, it's a Sunday, and therefore we will be on here tomorrow at 4 p.m.
And for, let me excuse, and let me just interject a little. I will be unable to make a 4 o'clock date tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will be on my way to the studio for my program between 5 and 7.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
at 4 o'clock, I won't be able to join.
Yeah, totally understood.
Myself included, and so is Leon. We both have, radio programs which starts at that time.
Yeah, yeah. We totally understand. So that's it from us here today on covering the series between the West Indies and England, day 3. We'll be back for day 4 tomorrow. It will not be a full complement, but some of us will return to give you our thoughts. And certainly on Monday, we'll be back together to wrap up, and maybe we'll be wrapping it up saying that West Indies would have yet again created another upset over England by winning this test match, because once they put their heads down, and once we have 4 or 5 batters standing up and showing up their hands and saying we are here to fight, then the ball is round and anything is bound to happen, because
That's
they've
right.
already put in the process for that to happen. They have shown that they can score runs, and getting up to 450 plus runs, almost 500 runs, is a remarkable achievement from a batting order that is pretty young, because it's Songo, Jason Holder, and Craig Brathwaite and Joshua De Silva to a lesser extent would have had any real test match experience within them. The others are just coming in, just feeling their way into test cricket. So for these guys to have already, and this is what they need to tell themselves, that this bowling attack that England has, we have scored 457 runs against them. Believe, put it in their mind and in their thoughts, in their subconscious. Visualize it, look on it, and say, you know what? I'm going to go out there and bat again. And I think this time we are able to score 500 runs. Set yourself a target and work towards that target. Put the mechanism in place to get to that target. So first aim for 500, and then if you can't get to 500, aim for the 457 that you have scored before. And if they go in with a positive mindset, a mindset that say we're not going to lose, then we believe that they can achieve something. And we are gunning for them here in the Caribbean. And everyone that watches us, we pray that you will put in a prayer for this West Indies team, because they're gonna need it tomorrow. The 4 days play start at 6 p.m. Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean time, 5 p.m.
AM.
a.m. Right,
AM.
a.m. 5 p.m. 5 a.m. Jamaican time, 6 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time, also in New York, 6 a.m. as well, and in the rest of the world that keeps time. It will start at 10:57 a.m. in the UK, and we want for you to join and watch our West Indies team and come back and leave your comments with us. We always have a full show in regards to comments and people participating on Sundays, and so we're expecting all of you to come back and join us on Sunday. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Remember to like the video. Remember to share across your Facebook page, and remember to support the West Indies Cricket Development Academy by making a donation to the efforts that we are doing here in changing young cricketers' perspective as it regards to cricket here in Jamaica and in the rest of the Caribbean. From all of us here at the West Indies Cricket Development Academy, on behalf of our panel and also the Cricket Hall of Fame, which is our main partner. Thank you for joining us today, and goodbye as we leave you with scenes of the ongoing test match with West Indies and England at Trent Bridge in Nottingham, United Kingdom, England.